what does our acharya, say about this?
Mm. Forgiving oneself.
Yeah, forgiving ourselves for our trespasses.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice, nice question. As far as what our acharyas say, I can't. Anyone know any statement from acharyas?
Same question.
Basically, the question is that although we discussed about forgiving others, but there also is some idea of being able to forgive ourselves for something that we've done. So the question is, what do the acharyas say about that? Yeah.
I heard one thing from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in one lecture in Dhaka in 1953, I think. He said that when faults in others delude you, have patience, look within, and know that no one can harm you unless you harm yourself. When faults in others delude you, have patience, look within. He said no one can harm you unless you harm yourself. So I don't know if that's forgiving, seeing faults in others. He said just look within.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, I remember.
I heard His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj saying that unless we love ourselves, how we can love a neighbor, and if we don't love a neighbor, how can we love a father? So the first thing is we should love ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a philosophical understanding as far as a specific direction or instruction. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I don't know. But in general, it's sort of like when we discuss this term, humility, a lot of times we hear the term, more humble than downtrodden grass. And sometimes people think, well, won't that lead to kind of low self-esteem, which means that I don't do anything and everyone just walks all over me like a dirty carpet, and like that. And we can understand that philosophically, as far as we should be humble. But humility manifests in different ways, and I'm discussing specifically about humility because this often can lead to a different kind of connotation of how we feel bad about ourselves. But humility, Srila Prabhupada explained that Arjuna was very humble because he went and killed everybody on the battle, killed his relatives on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Humility for him wasn't to kind of go to the forest, the stereotypical idea of humility, but he actually acted on Krishna's instruction. And so in this way we can understand that if there's a statement that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So if everyone who was kind of who's saintly or aspiring into saintly consciousness was constantly just demoralized by dwelling on their past, they would never be able to move forward. So maybe or maybe not do we actually kind of forgive ourselves, but at least we have to understand that Krishna will ultimately forgive us. But we have to also aspire to be His good children. In one sense, whether we forgive ourselves, that can be taken in different ways. That we can think, oh, well, I did it. Anyway, I forgive myself, so who are you on it? You understand? So like one boy came to me the other day and he was saying that he was confiding how, now he's taken to Krishna consciousness and he's so happy. He's very ecstatic and about his life, and he says, but whenever I'm chanting, all of the horrible things that I did in my teenage years just keeps coming up in my mind, He's like, how long do I have to chant before that goes away? My answer was, you should pray that it never goes away. Because as soon as you stop remembering things like that, then you get proud. And that's the tendency in all of us. As soon as we kind of forget about those things, then we get into a different space. I said, so in a sense, I said, because he said, but yeah, when I remember it like that, I just chant more intensely. I said, yeah, that's the point. You know, because, but at the same time, we shouldn't become stunned. You understand? We shouldn't become debilitated by these things. And we shouldn't think, oh, I'm such a terrible person that I'm not going to chant, or that I shouldn't chant, or that I shouldn't do anything. You know, this chanting process is not limited to anyone. So whatever it is that we've done, the story of Jagai and Madai is there. You know, they're the most horrendous personalities that we can ever imagine. And Lord Nityananda was like, yes, these guys are going to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And he went and gave them the mercy. Now, whether they went through a psychological process of forgiving themselves, I don't know. But what they certainly did was they took full shelter of Lord Chaitanya. And his instruction to them, in order to get his mercy, was never sin again. So you take this vow and you never act like that again, and then my mercy will be fully bestowed upon you. So in that sense, we should also be aspiring not to make the same mistakes for whatever we may need to feel forgiving ourselves for. And at the same time, sometimes these things are gifts in two ways at least. One is that it's a gift to keep us humble and remember where we've come from and what we've been through. And other times it's a gift when we meet other people who've been through the same thing. And we see, wow, Krishna really blessed me to be a complete, whatever, rude person, because now I can relate to this other person. And that doesn't mean that we should all go out and perform sinful activities so that we have the experience so that we can preach better. But it means that, somehow Krishna may have prepared you, or whoever who asked this question may have prepared us to have to interact with someone else who's had to go through the same thing, like that. So, in one sense, instead of getting hung up on it and trying to figure out how to forgive us, we should take shelter of Krishna and the holy names, and just know that ultimately Krishna will absolve us. He forgives us for everything. But the difficult thing is that of course we don't forgive ourselves, but we just have to keep taking shelter of Krishna, like that. And that humility, that mood, then you'll see he knows what's in our heart, like that. Okay, long way over time. Sorry about that. Hare Krishna. So we'll finish here and take breakfast prasad. We also have some scores from the last day of the marathon.